What if a chronic illness isn't just bad luck? What if you are actually chosen and called upon a higher purpose? It's easy to fall into a victim mentality, especially when you don't know what to do to heal or how to overcome your chronic illness. But the road ahead of you is clear, and we present that and we show that to many, many people. It's not an easy path, but it's worth it. Because it's not really about the question like, why don't they get sick? Because they also have suppressed emotions or they also live in fight or flight the entire time. Forget about them. They're stuck. You're the lucky one because your body told you that you can no longer continue with society. And what kind of society do we actually have? It's a shallow society in which we are like hamsters in a treadmill, chasing always something in the future with fight or flight energy that makes you completely exhausted. Plus, you will never arrive. That's it. And maybe the feeling that you are being good, being productive, to arrive at something in the future is also creating pain because deep down you would still like to be in that old paradigm. But I tell you, the old world is crumbling. And your world is already crumbling. There is no way back. And you might think, I wish I felt better. I wish I could join in with society. I wish I could join in all these beautiful events that people are having. But when it comes to your recovery, almost everyone else is going to look at you. And they're like, wow, I wish I could enjoy myself that deeply. Most people's bodies let them ignore their emotional truth. In fact, in society, we are being taught to ignore our emotional truth. And by doing that, we lower our vibration. We are stuck in the lower levels of consciousness that represent an unresolved emotional state. And we get fight or flight because that's what is needed to get out of that emotional state. But instead of resolving the emotion with it, we are being taught to conform to coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms that make you feel maybe temporarily better, like having a status, having a good income. But your life is not about that. Because if you would chase those things until forever, your life becomes painfully hollow. Like superficially, you might have everything that you need. But something is lacking. Deeper meaning. And when we look at society, for example, after the Napoleonic Wars in the 1800s, we see that there was a lot of freedom for the first time ever. And a lot of advances, like the airplane was being invented, the car, electricity, all kinds of things that we're still using nowadays. An era of freedom brought all of these discoveries. But all of that discoveries, all of this materialistic wealth that we had, made us arrive in the next phase. And the next phase was, in the 20th century, that the fear that we have suppressed inside of ourselves had to come to the surface. And as within, so without. All of the control systems and the bureaucracy that we're having that are leading to problems in our external world are also being there internally. Like we overthink things. We're not really stepping into life. We're being hard on ourselves. We like to control. And we are being presented as well in the external world with possible dangers and things that you can do to give up your freedom and your life and your sovereignty in order to avoid a possible threat that is never going to be resolved, because the issue here is fear. And fear can't be solved by accomplishing things. Because it's not the external world that is dangerous, it's the internal world, the emotional world, and that's exactly where the problem lies. After over a century of control systems that are designed to mask our internal pain, it's time to go into the next phase of human consciousness. Because right now, we can actually deal with the internal stuff. We can deal with the internal energies that we have stored. And I'd like to show you this graph of levels of consciousness by David R. Hawkins. And you see that it expands from the lowest state that a human being can have, which is level 20, shame. And all of the lower levels are named after emotions. For example, fear and anger. And then at level 200, something peculiar happens. We step into courage. But what kind of courage? It is the courage to look at the lower levels. Because ascending into higher levels is not about removing these emotional states. Instead, it is about allowing them and making them a part of your life. So what we do in the release program, where we really take you hand by hand into the process of dealing with your chronic illness as fast as possible, and this can take a year or two, for example, to really integrate shame, integrate grief, integrate apathy, integrate anger and fear to make them a part of your life. And because of that, you are no longer in resistance towards your inner truth, towards something that is a part of you that you cannot really reject because you are a human, and a human being is an emotional being. And because of that, you become whole. Your energy becomes wider. It's about increasing your frequency, let's say like that. It's not like a higher frequency, but it's a stronger frequency. And it's not a frequency anymore about lack, because all of the lower frequencies are about lack. And in reality, in this world, we don't have lack. There is an abundance, but we can't access that abundance before we access the abundance inside of ourselves. And what would make you actually start doing that? Reading a book from Eckhart Tolle? Probably not. No, you had to be forced to stop. And I think that it is also fair to say that you agreed to this before you entered this life. But I know that a lot of people are not spiritually oriented, and this might sound crazy. Therefore, the work that I'm doing is practical most of all. I don't like to present hours of spiritual theories. I like to keep it practical. I like to make you integrate all of these levels, and then you can actually measure that your energy is becoming stronger. Plus, when you're no longer acting from these unresolved emotional issues, you can think clearly, differently, deeper. Plus, you're no longer thinking about outrunning or fighting, fight, flight, your emotional truths. Instead, you are using your emotional truths to find your place in life and to create the life that is good for you. And never ever in human history, at least what I know of, did humans live like that. How would it actually live? How would it actually feel to live ecstatically, being in contact with yourself, having a clear mind, enjoying yourself, and as well attracting abundance just by being you? And all of the things that you're going to do are no longer about trying to survive. They're about pleasure and joy and feeling good, about connection. Imagine that. That will change everything. Like we have no clue what is going to happen. Like right now, everybody lives in these boxes, these houses. They're all in traffic. And when you look at traffic, it almost feels like a computer thing, very, very two-dimensional. But instead, we can get communities again. And that's because the external world that we are having is just reflecting our internal world in which we are cut off from ourselves. Not just one part of us, but all of the aspects that we have, maybe thousands, that are all the result of rejecting your own emotional truth. They are all cut off from each other. And that's why we feel lonely. That's why we feel shallow. That's why we feel cut off. And that's why we're looking for something else. And right now, that looking for something else, that meaning in your life, this is the moment. All you got to do is to complete this level of this, let's say, let's make it a computer game. How do we resolve chronic fatigue syndrome or any other chronic illness? The game is not easy. It's hard. Plus, the information that you have been receiving is probably incomplete. You are being presented with puzzle pieces because most of us don't want to hear the truth. The truth is painful. The truth is that I can just do like this and make you focus on an emotional state and you feel absolutely worthless and your symptoms amplify. But we don't want that. And so instead, we want to hear information that there is something physically wrong with us, because that means that there is nothing wrong with you in particular, right? Because that's how we have been ingrained. Like there is something good and there is something bad. But neither two of these things exist. There are just levels of consciousness. And you are inherently good if you start feeling and allowing yourself. The reason that we feel bad is that we don't allow ourselves. So you are ultimately the one that is giving yourself a bad feeling. So if you feel ashamed, that means that you push yourself away. If you feel lonely, that means that you don't have contact with yourself. If you feel afraid, then there is this emotion inside of you that is afraid of a possible outcome. But that emotion is probably very, very old, so it doesn't make much sense. Maybe it's just going to school for the first day. The first day of school is for every child something that they are afraid of. Maybe you still need to feel that. And that means that allowing your truth, the truth from when you were like a 4 or 5-year-old child, cry, and then you have expanded the comfort zone. And then you have created less danger in the world. No need anymore for the brain to create danger symptoms, because all of the chronic illness symptoms are danger symptoms because we have programmed ourselves that our emotions, our truths are dangerous and not accepted. Not accepted by a society that taught us to not allow who we really are in favor of turning us into something that is beneficial for others. Because the schooling system, for example, comes from the 1800s, more or less. Like I think it's about the Bismarck Empire from Germany, to create factory workers. That's like an ancient thing that was good at that moment. It's like all of these spiritual truths, they are temporarily good for us until they no longer serve us. And right now, it no longer serves you. We have moved away from the place that we actually have material lack. We have abundance all around us. And this is the moment to start integrating our own being. That means you're going to be here fully, completely, maybe for the first time ever. And this is going to be beautiful. You're going to radiate intensely. And it doesn't matter what your looks are. Your beauty will come from within. No matter how old you are, everyone that is being called to transform can do this, because otherwise you wouldn't be in this exact challenge. You can do this, and we hope to make this simpler for people. But as of this moment, it's likely that you actually feel somewhere deep down inside of you that you are a victim. And the last thing that I want is to reject that. Because again, it's not about rejecting truths, your truths, your feelings. So allow that feeling for a while. But also know that the solution is already there. And there is nothing wrong with you physically. Instead, there is something very, very right. The only problem is that while you are in this release or purging phase of your life, that you have conditioned yourself with beliefs that it shouldn't be that way. This is how everyone thinks. This is how everyone tries to solve problems. It shouldn't be this way. Let's add another layer of control and bureaucracy on life because we are so afraid for life itself. And why are we afraid of life itself? Well, that's very simple. That's just an unresolved emotional state. Fear is an emotion that dissolves when you completely connect with it. And the symptoms are ultimately as well a state of fear. There is a danger. It's a danger response. But by really feeling that danger. So it means that you step a little bit into what I'm telling you, the truth. And then the opposite of that, the things that we've stored in the body, the illusions that are causing these emotions, that are being stuck and suppressed in our unconscious mind, can come to the surface. And then you can feel it. So you go a little bit into truth, and then you go a little bit into the illusion. Truth, illusion, truth, illusion. And with every illusion, you start crying, maybe just for 5 minutes. And every time you do that, you raise your vibration and you become stronger. And you are going to be the one that is determining what kind of society we're going to enter. Is it a society of love and abundance? Or does that really, maybe it doesn't even matter? Because your energy and vibration is going to be so strong that you will create your life and you will attract your tribe, no matter what. So this is like what they are calling about with the 2 different timelines. A group of people that still lives in lack, in these control systems, wanting to have wars or choosing sides. And the other group is just stepping out of this illusion that it's like conquer and divide illusion, going within and start radiating the peace that is the result of your chronic healing journey outwards. And the more people do that, the more beautiful life is going to become. So you are a pioneer, yet you're not alone. There are so many people like you. In the release program, we have like weekly group coaching sessions in which like a lot of people connect with each other. We meditate together, we release together, and we see that we're all very, very similar. We were all living in illusion, in lack. And by holding space for each other and seeing that you're not alone, that there are so many people like you, it becomes easier to actually allow what is within you. We hold space for each other. Maybe you can find this as well in men's circles or women's circles, because we need to talk about the things that is everybody is sort of like pretending that it is not there. We hide in our society behind those masks, and we let ourselves being influenced by forces that push us into a coping mechanism, let's say consumerism or performing or working in a different way to pay your taxes, to serve others. So we go from slave mentality to freedom mentality. And the freedom that we're going to embark, it's pretty difficult to describe it, because sometimes the things that I am already experiencing is triggering. It's like, is this really possible? And I'm going to make more videos about that in the future. But the world has no idea what is going to happen with this psychological revolution that is starting right now. In 20 or 30 years, the world is completely different. And you are going to be the leader from your place. People are going to look up to you. But all you need to do right now is to resolve this level of your game, which is about releasing emotions. And we do that via, first of all, creating safety, having a good rhythm, slowly expanding the comfort zone. Watch the videos that I recently uploaded. Then becoming present. So these are just steps to make you able to release. Normalizing emotions, for example, by journaling or by embodied movement, ecstatic dance, or acting, so that you can slowly put these difficult emotions that you have pushed away, when you can put them inside of your comfort zone, bit by bit, step by step. Then it becomes easier to cry, and the more you can cry, the less symptoms you need. Because as long as you have symptoms, and I have to say this again and again, as long as you have symptoms, you're not feeling something. So the question is always about, what are you not seeing? And that what you are not seeing is destroying your life. So consciousness is about being conscious about everything that is. And we raise our consciousness by looking deeply inside of ourselves. And when you do that, you will see that the external world is just a reflection of your internal world. There is no need to go for demonstrations or to work hard to achieve something, because all of that can be resolved like this if you move within. Also, almost everyone goes, whenever their symptoms change, which they go to the doctor. That means driving the car. That means waiting. That means telling your story to a doctor. Probably you get some medication. Maybe you have to do some Googling about the things that the doctor said, or maybe you're at AI and the AI is just saying things like, better be careful, better be safe than sorry, go to the doctor. But in all of this time, and this is probably going on every day of your life, the thing that is causing the symptoms, the emotion, could have been resolved in 5 minutes. So what do you actually have to lose? Time. Your life. But going within, you can only win. It's beautiful, right?